Hello, this is Don Hall. I'm at Don Hall Works YouTube channel, and I'm here in Pilar, New Mexico with Steve Kilborn, and Steve's going to show us how he makes these cool plates.
So I just got 2,500 pounds of clay, which comes in these 25-pound pugs, 2 per box. We're gonna beat it up a little bit just to get it started. And roll it out using the Brent slab roller. Which I bought years ago from a commune. About half of my work is done this way, and the other half is thrown on the potter's wheel. And at present, I'm pretty much working alone. At one time, I had 12 employees.
Oh, how thick is that? About 1/8 of an inch? Or?
No, more like it's probably a little more than a quarter. That's one thing about these Brent slab rollers. They're not infinitely adjustable. They use masonite shims. And you could take and put like newspaper or something to make it a little more adjustable. When I used to do a big wholesale business, we were at the point where we were thinking about going with real mechanized methods to make pots, because we had such a market. We were producing 20,000 pieces a year, maybe 30,000. But decided that we couldn't get as much money if the pots were perfect. So this gives us a handmade look, because it is actually handmade. So this is a medium-sized plate, and let's see what we can get here. So these are just pieces of corrugated cardboard. They've probably been in use for 30 years. They're approximations of about the size we would want this to fit onto the mold. So the molds are called pitcher molds, and it's a somewhat primitive mold technique that I learned from Michael Cardew, who was an English potter. He was born in 1901, educated at Oxford, and somehow ended up being a potter, and spent most of his life in Africa. These molds last quite a while. It seems after a while they maybe absorb too much soluble salts or something, and they don't work very well. This particular one was made in 2010. I know that I have some that are over 20 years old. So to make the molds, you have to make a model of this shape that you want. So if you can imagine this being a clay model, then from that you would do a plaster cast over top of that. So then this is your plaster master mold. And from the plaster master mold, you make these working molds like that. The clay would be pounded into this, and then you would trim the edge, then throw this piece, the handle, and attach it, and then when it dries some, you would take it out of the plaster master mold, clean up the edges, and dry it for a long time, putting holes in it, because after you've done all that work, you don't want to lose it. Okay, I looked this up just to see if anybody is making pots using pitcher molds, and I couldn't find anybody. There was a young couple in England who had bought some of Michael Cardew's old molds and were using those, but I couldn't find anybody who's actually making pots in this way. And it's a good way for a person. Like when I did have a lot of employees, I could bring a person in even without previous clay experience, although some people that I've had have had clay experience, definitely, and they can learn how to do it. Everything is stamped with an SK and Taos. I'm not in Taos proper, but I am in the county. Currently, I think I'm only making about 2,000 pieces a year. And about half would be done this way, and half are done on the potter's wheel. When we were involved with 100 wholesale accounts, we used to be doing like, I don't know, 20 to 50 pieces a day of this, using the molds. But it's a mold technique that is not as exact as slip casting, which I prefer. Got a little cracking here, but that can be pushed together. And again, if you look up in Studio Potter, I looked it up last night, 1974 issue of Studio Potter has the Judsons up in Fort Collins, Colorado. They were very good at writing articles about how to do stuff. I just have wanted to make pots. Really more, I've wanted to make pots to decorate. And during our big wholesale time, I think I started to say that, I had 2 people who decorated, I had 2 people who threw, I had somebody who slabbed, somebody who loaded and unloaded kilns, somebody who packed. And I just had to come up with the money to pay everybody. But it was during the late 80s, early 90s, Santa Fe style was becoming a big deal. And everybody wanted chili pots and cactus pots. So then this will be set aside to dry.
Well, Steve, that was really informative. Thanks a lot. And next, the only step we have to do now is to decorate, correct?
Yes, yes.
And so we're going to go decorate, and you can look for that in another video.
Perfect.